Mr. Bells?
Here.
Ms. Bowker? Mr. Kale?
I'm here.
Mr. Camerata? Mr. DeGirolamo?
Present.
Ms. Charles Smith? Ms. Milroy?
Here.
Mr. Patel?
Here.
And Chair Brown.
Here.
Yep.
And Melissa, or Melinda, I'm sorry, will be running this late, but she will be here, so good time when she comes. So, first order is approval of the last meeting minutes from August 13th, 2025. Motion to approve,
Second.
second with Norby. Are there any additions or corrections? All in favor, say aye, approving the meeting minutes.
Aye.
Okay, they are approved. I see no one from the public has signed up. It's all staff, which is very light. So apparently they're all on vacation now or out celebrating the budget got passed. Maybe they're all hungover, so.
We thank them for their hard work in budget development, so we figured we could handle this one for the team. Yeah.
Good, thank you. Under old or new business, I've got, here comes Melinda. So I have 506. Just in time, we just approved the meeting minutes, so
Over here.
I apologize.
I'm gonna turn to Yvonne. She's got a couple announcements on some awards and of members, and then a new assistant director of.
Yeah, so again, thank you all for all of your work on budget development. It kind of feels like you're an extension of our team as we go through this process. As we're transitioning into the new fiscal year, the OMB team has some really exciting news. The first thing would be they have a new assistant director, Mr. Parth Patel, who you've seen time over time. I'm so fortunate to have him continue in his role with the city and budget development as a whole. And then our fearless leader, Laura Reese, was actually appointed to the GFOA as chairperson of the GFOA Budget Committee. So she's not just helping our organization, she's helping organizations across the country with how they're developing their budget practices. So we just want to congratulate her.
Is that a 1 year or is that a?
It's a 1-year term, but there's up to 2 more reappointments. So typically they keep the chair for the 3 years.
And the membership of that organization is roughly how many?
25,000.
25,000.
Yeah, it's nationwide. It's actually the US, Canada, and then some folks from other countries too, Australia a little bit.
So what does the initial stand for?
Government Finance Officers Association.
So lots of benchmark and interesting things to learn or to share.
Yes, absolutely. They train government finance professionals throughout the country. We set best practices. So the committee that I'm a part of gets to look at budget practices. One of the items we're digging into this year is fund balance. So, how do you do risk-based fund balance? So we get to do a lot of fun work. So I'm excited. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations, and
Thank you.
I know you'll do well and
Thanks.
leave a legacy with they can
Thank you.
represent Fort Lauderdale very well. Thank you. Okay, moving right along, we'll just keep on to new business and let Laura continue on.
Yeah, so some of you who've been around for a while have seen this. 1 or 2 times a year we bring this back, and 10 years ago you asked us to start tracking the recommendations that the Budget Advisory Board makes to the commission and then the status of those recommendations. So we provide you with an update, I believe twice a year. This is the meeting that it's scheduled for. So the items that are in red are new recommendations from the last time we shared it with you and updates that have been provided. So some of them are going to be really recent, such as your support for the 2026 proposed budget, the emergency reserve fund, fire assessment fee, and the millage rate this year. So those are the recommendations that we made this year. And on the page before that was your conversation regarding the Northwest Progresso Flagler Heights CRA. And that was the recommendation you made before the commission decided whether or not to extend the CRA. So that would wrap up the last year of this board's work. There was one more update that we made, and it's really related to the park bond. So on page 12 of 18, at one point, the VAB did make a recommendation regarding parks enhancements. At that point, the recommendation was in favor of 150 million. The commission moved forward with a $200 million bond for parks, GO bond that was approved. And so the last $60 million is planned to be issued in 2026, so there's a little typo, I'm sorry, I'll have to switch that, I didn't catch it. So the last 60 is planned for this coming fiscal year, depending on spending trends. So we don't want to issue more debt until we've spent enough of the first two tranches. So we'll be timing that appropriately, but that's the plan, so that's the updates. But if you had questions on any other items, willing to take those.
Refresh my memory, to the city commission, they went ahead and approved the bond for streets and sidewalks already, and I think it was, what was it, 100, was it 100?
It was 105
5
million,
million.
45.5 of it was going towards the temporary financing that we did for the police headquarters. We're also putting 27.9 million towards streets and sidewalks. And that's going to advance all of the very serious and failed streets and sidewalks across the city. So we'll see a really big push on remedying those items. And then the rest of the funding, dependent upon what we're able to do, will either be going towards some of the communication equipment for the police department. There are also possibilities on additional seawalls and bridge type items. So really, we're trying to make sure we do street, sidewalks, and the police headquarters first, and then we'll begin the planning process for the remaining funding.
Just so the board's aware too, go ahead.
And just one more note, so we finished our bond rating
So I was gonna bring that.
meetings, so we met with S&P and Moody's, and we were really fortunate to receive a AAA rating, so our financial policies, our strong bench of financial leaders really plays a big role in that. And if you look at the bond rating agency's notes on our city, they talk a lot about, how we are managing our planning for the things that are coming up. And so it's really a testament not only to city staff, but also those conversations that you all have about where we're going in the future to make sure that the community feels that we're a credible source.
How long have we had these three?
I think we got AAA for the first time in 2020.
Okay, and before that, we were just double.
It was lower than that. Whatever the lower one is, yeah. That was the first time we hit the triple.
Double A,
Yeah.
double
Is there a
One or
particular-
double A1 or whatever the
Double
S&P
A.
Was there a particular element that actually moved the needle in the budget? What explained that upgrade in our rating?
So I don't remember from that time, but I know one of the things the bond rating agencies do is they outline the things that could move the needle up and the things that could move the needle down. So one of the things they talk about for our city is, of course, the economic conditions would always impact us. But moving the needle for AAA rating, there's not anywhere up, but for when you're double A1 was our other rating, one of the things that they talk about is we are in Florida, and by default, by being in Florida, we are susceptible to hurricanes, and so some of those things we cannot change, but there are other elements that we can tweak in how we manage things, like our overall fund balance and
Debt
some
ratio,
of those,
debt
our
ratio
debt
also.
ratio. So all of that's outlined in the report, but the thing that we really like to focus on is we try very hard to plan for the future. And so it's nice to see that, outside organizations see what that looks like for us, so.
And that's what I was gonna ask you to talk about. And just to keep in mind, on the fund balance in the reserve, the minimum is 16.7%.
So some of the professional organizations, our city has set a policy of 16.67%, which is 2 months. But we set a target of the 3 months, so the 25%. A lot of the professional organizations like GFOA recommend the 16.67% as a minimum. And then they talk about depending upon what your risk level is. So again, Florida hurricanes, your risk level is a little bit higher. All of the things that factor into that, they recommend higher depending on what those risks are for your organization.
And from a personal standpoint, I know sometimes people think, why do we have such a high fund balance? But when you stop and think 17% is only 2 months, and now you're at 25%, you're only looking 3 or 4 months. If we had a catastrophic disaster, hurricane, we'd go through that money fairly quickly, you know.
But we are above 25, no, Jane?
Oh, yeah, we're north of 25
Yeah.
now.
So the
Right,
good
yeah.
thing is, our process also says that when we hit that 25% mark, we start looking at capital projects or other one-time expenses that we can support. So you'll see in October, we're doing a budget amendment, which will use the amount over the 25%, as well as the PFAS funding to advance some of our capital projects, including some that were planned for 2027, to ensure that we don't have to have that reliance on 2027 funds. So again, on that same trend of planning for the future, we're not just addressing new wish list items, we're addressing the things that we know we need to do in the future, so that if revenues, for whatever reason, are not what we expect next year, we can still meet our capital obligations.
If I could just piggyback a little bit, there's a few things that I always like to brag about, and when we talk to our bond rating agencies, it's fun to hone in on it. And one of the things is something that Babs really helped us to get to, and it's a diversified revenue base. So the city's less than 50% reliant on property taxes. That means if we have a market downturn, we're in better shape. We have our fire assessment fee that you all support us going to full cost recovery, some of our other fees, and that helps so much when we're talking about the risks in the market. So thank you for that, and I think that's something that we like to share is the public process we go through, the transparency, the reporting back to the commission, and our target of having that diversified revenue base. Also, we're really fortunate to have, high-rise buildings and businesses and a whole real estate market that supports our tax base that isn't just reliant on residential or just reliant on commercial. So we're in a great city in terms of like financial stability, and we're in a good spot. So that was really fun to share back with S&P and Moody's, and the ratings came out well.
Thank you. And I know staff downplays it, but it's just truly another testimonial to the staff of budget and finance for the hard work and dedication that everyone does in order to keep us at a AAA bond rating, and it's very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Okay, feedback on the 26 budget packets and meeting format. For the new members, just the first year, what did you think of the process? I'd like to get some feedback, and what would you like to see included in the packets, not included, meeting formats, the agenda that we do, the matrix of the work plan, what's your thoughts?
In general, you wanna go around, or how do you wanna do it?
Just go around.
I mean, I can't think of another format that I think you all, staff does an excellent job of providing us, what we need in advance of the meetings to review. It's pretty thorough, I love that we get the books ahead of all of the May meetings, so we're kind of prepared for all the heads of each department throughout that month. I think we have a pretty open format, I like the discussions that we get into here, that after, we've had time to review it, but we come in, and I think especially this past year, it seems like we've had some really healthy discussions just different things, just like the CRA comes to mind, so, yeah, I don't think there's anything I would really change, I think you do a great job.
I agree with Melissa, as far as the presentations and the what keeps you up at night from the department heads. I thought that was really useful, being that it's my first year on the board, you know, it was like a lot of information to take in, but like I'm more prepared, I think, going into this coming year to be more knowledgeable and prepared. I think the only thing that was missing for me, and it might just be because I couldn't assimilate all of the asks and then the final budget, was if it would be possible to maybe do a spreadsheet or summary after we've gotten all of the department head presentations, and then when we look at that first draft of the budget, the things that, you know, that obviously you don't get everything you want, but maybe kind of a summary of by department, like these were the asks and this is what's in the budget. And this is something, and if it didn't make it into the budget, maybe kind of a little narrative on, you know, deferred for next year, or maybe, you know, this is not achievable, you know, in the foreseeable future. I don't know if
Some reasons, some rationale.
yeah, just cause it was hard for me, like, to kind of in my mind, I could figure out some of it, but I was actually thinking about doing my own spreadsheet. I just was wondering if the board would find that useful after the department asks with the first draft of budget to see like what didn't make it, and we know not everything is going to make it, but that would be my only suggestion.
And we actually used to include that in the preliminary budget with the full list and then what was just a column of what was funding. Some people got confused and they thought things were funded that weren't funded, and so we ended up just publishing what was funded because it had the amount, and then another column what was actually funded. So we can try to just make that clearer, I think, but we organically do
Maybe we do it for this group instead
Yeah.
of publishing it in the
Yeah.
wider audience.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, suggestion, because I think we're gonna have to have a discussion too, the fact now that we'll have 16 departments versus 10.
Absolutely.
And we did it in 3 sessions, allowing them 20 minutes time each. What's gonna be the format moving forward? Cause I don't wanna cut anybody short. And, yeah.
And
So-
it's something that we talked about this last year around this time, and we were asking, you know, is it that this board would like to see every department? There are some departments that don't present, like OMB, we don't do a presentation, our budget is pretty much status quo every year. We look for places to trim, but it's pretty much status quo every year, so we're not doing large decision packages. And so for those types of groups, you know, it may be dependent upon whether or not you all would like to continue to see those items, but we will have to shuffle things around with 16 departments, even if we give some of them shorter time periods, you really can't cut the time for departments like police and fire. You
Could it
need
be
it all
based
of the
on the,
time.
could it be based on the budgets? I mean, cause that's what I was feeling, it's like you have these budgets that are massive and you're going through all that, and I think the 20 minutes, while you wanna keep it fair with all the departments, police versus another one is gonna be, you're gonna need more time. I felt with the police, it was like we could have had a little more time, but you could probably fill up a week of talking about it if we
Right,
gave it.
and so maybe that's
But
the way
maybe
we go for
we do it
like
on budget.
finance and HR, maybe we trim the amount of time that they have so that we can get more departments in that narrow time period.
I think based on budget would be reflective of time, because the bigger budgets are gonna take a lot, you know, you're gonna have a lot more in the bigger budgets.
Yeah, but overall, very informative, and thank you for all of the work and for, you know, just the time spent too administratively in figuring it out how to best present us the department ask wish list.
As a senior member of the board,
I have nothing but good things to say. I think it has been a phenomenal job that the finance department has done. And I really don't have anything more to say, I think. Like I said, I think there's always something I always wanted to look at, what was not funded and why. But other than that, I think everything was great.
Yeah, I think similar, and I already gave you my comment about like maybe it should be based on the budget, cause it did feel like you were kind of rushing through some of the departments, and that's where we spent a lot of the money, so I'm feeling like based on the budget. And then I am blanking on that software, but the one that you submit your
Balancing act.
balancing act, thank you. I think that would be a good tool for like if there was a way to segment off just like the budget advisory board to be able to provide our own feedback in there. Because it's a nice tool to like be able to provide things in advance and then come to the meeting and you have the feedback. When people wanna get granular, that's really the way to get granular. So I don't know if there's a way to partition that off where you have the general comments, but then maybe do a budget advisory board group where we have access to that, we can add our comments right in there, you know what I mean? So that way it's, when we come in, we know that that's coming from the budget advisory board versus the general.
So we got some feedback at the commission meeting last night that we have to make sure that's allowed
Okay,
based on sunshine law, but
oh yeah,
with that, we might have to do it live in the session
Yeah.
versus,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cause
but
sunshine.
if we're not providing to each other though,
We'll confirm with,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
there was another situation where there were some questions about if people could provide feedback ahead of time and then have it presented.
And the good thing with that software is you can kind of work through what your internal submissions are, even if we
Yeah.
have to do them
Okay.
live,
Yeah.
we could maybe dedicate a couple minutes to you all doing that live. But we can create an environment specific, in that software, we can create an environment specific to you all, and so your results wouldn't get mixed and mingled with the general results, we'd be able to talk through what the trends were within this group.
It's a good idea though.
And on behalf of the board, I wanna thank you for your comments at the end of the workshop or the presentation, how you put our advisory board in perspective from the corporate world.
Thank you.
That was really nice,
Yeah.
No, actually, I meant it, actually, there's one other comment I was actually gonna make, if I can make it.
Go ahead.
If, I was thinking, if the city of Fort Lauderdale was a for-profit company, it would be a prime candidate for a takeover. And you know why? Because you have such good finances and your debt capacity is so big that somebody can come in and do a leverage buyout and say, let's go do it. So it's a different way of saying, great job.
Which you guys own this company, right?
So the viewing audience, no, we're not for sale.
Yeah, that's the wrong message.
Can we go public?
Okay, well, again, thank you.
My only comment on the format, I think it's an obvious one, we time the review, but we don't time the initial presentation. The initial presentation was like a 3-hour plus meeting with no timer. I don't know why we're not timing that, so if
What
we're,
do you
We're absolutely going to time it.
yeah, so if we're gonna time the other ones, I think the format should just align. I think that's pretty,
What keeps you up at night? Is that
Yeah,
what you're
we
talking
learned
about?
that day, yeah, of 3 hours plus is, and if it's gonna be that, it should just at least be organized into timing. And then when you do that, I think we should consider, I wouldn't take offense to it timing us as well.
Yeah.
Afterwards, cause some of times we'll get back and forth a little off track, and I know you keep us on track, but maybe we
Yeah, but I
get
also
time
like-
as well.
To have good dialogue of the board.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it could be our discretion then, but I'm just saying either whatever they want.
It's kind of like a brainstorming session too.
Sure.
I do like, I think when they're presenting, I like when at the end, when you go around and say, everyone say your comments.
Mhm.
Cause it keeps it like that flow going and it also requires, it puts you on the spot to say, hey, I wanna contribute something, so, you know, I kinda like that too at the end. But-
Yeah, that's what I was saying, we
Yeah.
could time, but if that's
Yeah, no, I
overruled, that's
agree.
fine, cause that
I
can get.
agree, totally.
Anything else for Marvin?
So sharing my experience as a newbie on this board, I thought that was an amazing process and very interesting. I did a lot of preparation and work to immerse myself, like you mentioned, Linda. Although I had a background that helps me absorb maybe a little faster than the average citizen resident. I really appreciate the work that you provide us to actually do our work as a budget advisory board. I would have two main suggestions. I think we can work even more productively together if those sessions can be a little more interactive and sharing more material. I'm still a little frustrated and I'd like to, as a new business and calendar discussion, refer to something I prepared back in April with a lot of rich content that was designed to actually make the board react and discuss. We didn't have this opportunity, timing was not right. I would hope that with the next session in November, we could have this opportunity, so at least you can understand where I came from, what I was trying to do, and share with you and get your feedback under the supervision of and the correction, if necessary, of the OMB. But I think that would be very productive for the role that we are supposed to serve as a sort of second thought or challenge or consultant to the city commission and to the city staff. I think the format and the sunshine law don't allow us to do what we do in the private sector, which is have meetings, prepare meetings together, hash it out, have different views, and put something together in the end. The closest we can come to that may be more effective for us to do our job. Anticipating it early in the season, I think in November would help, so that we can be better prepared when the department come with their, ask and their budget presentation. And we can also already have some questions that are more to the point. So that would be my main concern, but positively, I was really impressed with all the quality for debate that you provide to us, so that we can do our job. We can probably do even a better job, I think, if we go towards that. And I think there's an appetite, from what I heard from different board members, to do that more under the framework that we can work with sunshine laws, public discussions.
I guess, can I ask a question? Cause you sent that out, I didn't really understand what it really was, to be honest. I mean, I know, like, when I look at it, the budget advisory board, I look at it as like a company. We're the board, right? And boards meet quarterly, and they have a report back from the departments. Are you asking us to like get into the finances of the?
So remember the context, and I don't know if you were at the meeting when I actually had the opportunity to talk about it and say, I'd like to have the opportunity to share it with the board, so that would help to know the context. The context was, I came in and I absorbed a lot of things, and I actually was impressed with Ross Camarada's report on revenue, and revenue declining from different departments, fees stagnant, etc. And I thought we apparently have a challenge, which is declining revenue, increase budget over the years, and what are the areas where the board could point possibly as a budget advisory board to the city commission, where we feel that maybe there are some areas of interest to explore in order to have a better balance according to different priorities. I'm not a financial expert, you're not, but I think our role is to come up with suggestion, and I remember Commissioner Glassman making a very specific comment, we can find it on video, asking for the board to come up with some options and solutions or recommendations without being a financial expert. If you looked at the presentation I'd like to share with you and comment and get to answer that kind of question, it was mostly questions for OMB, mostly questions for my fellow board members. Is there an idea there? Is there something we should talk about? And some questions were raised later, like the CRA. What are there benchmarks? Should we reconduct it? So it was not totally out of bound with the question that were shared later. I just thought that having this framework as an approach and say, hey, what do you think of that? And then we could, as a group, decide we explore that avenue or not. And if a subgroup wants to explore it in a live session, we can report back to the rest of the group and say, hey, do we understand that it's an interesting direction to go? So that was the goal, far from saying, hey, it's easy to find $60 million. But at least, and especially for, I don't want to be too long, but for fiscal year 2027, when we know we're going to have a challenge with Stantec's projection showing that if there is no millage rate increase, we can't have a balancing act as a budget. We might need to be even more proactive and prepared to find other ways with OMB and the city manager to tell the city commission, maybe there is not a one-stop shop solution, sorry, no pun intended. No millage rate increase, but maybe a combo of millage rate and other avenues. That's what I think this board should be able to do towards the city commission with obviously the confirmation by OMB that it's a valid thought process. We may disagree sometimes, maybe it's healthy, but I think we should get there at least to show the city commission that we're trying to do our job as an advisory board. We're not the finance department, but we certainly, I mean, I don't know how many years have we approved millage rate being constant. Exactly, but so not one time anybody on the board, budget advisory board, say, hey, maybe we should try to increase the millage rate a little bit before we get to a point where we have to increase it 0.55, which is what Stantec is showing for fiscal year 2027. And maybe that would have been anticipating a decision for the city commission to make or to submit to the proper channels. So the point is, we need to be not only approving things, but also thinking different and challenging with our thoughts, generally, you know, with a consensus and with solid backing, of course, it has to be sound, but I think we should play that role, otherwise I'm not sure the budget advisory board is nothing but a stamping authority for the city commission, and I don't think that's the role. That's it.
All points well taken. You know, and you're right, Commissioner Glassman did make those suggestions for us to engage and come back. You know, I mean, there's a lot out there on the horizon, a lot of unknowns, especially with the governor proposing to do away with property tax. You know, how are we gonna make that up to fund police and fire? Where's that the funding stream gonna come from? Maybe it's not 100% elimination. Who knows what the legislature will do? They could say, okay, they could roll it back and reduce it to 50% and put some sideboards and top percentages of million, could put some, clamps on it. So we have to be prepared to be able to make suggestions.
More than ever, I think
Yeah.
fiscal year 2027 is a turning point.
And knowing what's on the horizon too, so I think that's a good segue into talking about the calendar. Look at the calendar now. If you go to the work plan that's prepared, couple points. Linda, you will be chairing this month because I'm in my surgery for knee replacement, so I will not be here.
Lisa.
Melissa.
Or maybe, I'm sorry, Melissa.
I thought we had a new co-chair.
I say Melinda. So we have the meeting in October. Now, originally it's on the calendar for November 19th that we need to discuss, and that is the cities light up the beaches that night and all top department heads, city manager, they all, and so either we move it, everything down, because we have nothing on the agenda for January, or reschedule it, so. I spoke with staff earlier about it. So what are your thoughts?
I think we're supportive of whatever the board would like to do. If you'd like to move it down one meeting and, that way you have a full schedule for each of those items, that works fine. Historically, we have canceled a few meetings just to give you all time to recover from budget development, especially around the holidays. So whatever the pleasure of the board is, staff is supportive of that.
And then how can we fit in Oliver's, what was the document called? Do we have a name for it?
You can say a PowerPoint, whatever it is. It's a few slides. I actually revised my slides with the budget of this year,
Okay,
which gives more perspective.
Yeah.
And I think I've also removed some points that I thought were less relevant than they seemed to be last year. But I would suggest that I get 20 minutes to go over it and get the questions and thought of my fellow board members. And if there is nothing coming out of it, that's fine. But at least I will feel that I tried my best.
And so you just recently updated it? Okay, so you guys can distribute it?
I'd rather, I mean, we can distribute it in advance, obviously, but I'd love to share Q&A with you. The idea is to have an interactive sort of preparation. I think it would be a great opportunity for new board members too, to actually be immersed into the heart of the questions without knowing all of the environment. And it would really go straight to the key point for them, maybe too fast, too much, but I think that would be a great introduction to open up a dialogue.
But you had sent it out once, so it's a new version from that one.
I can stick to the version I had last year, but I have better now.
It was the better one.
Yeah, so the meeting on the revenue enhancements, we took to heart the comments that were made after Ross's presentation, and we've actually already begun some of that work. You would have seen it on the last agenda. We have a couple of other revenue enhancements that are coming up. So I think that meeting will be a combination of sharing what staff has already done, as well as still providing a couple of additional levers that we can get your feedback on. So if you would like to do it at that same meeting, since we're
December
already
17, is that what the one you're talking about?
depending on whether or not you move, I was thinking that same meeting, whether it's on that day or if you're moving everything down, it would be on that January 21st date, but somewhere early in the process before we get started,
That's a
so that
point.
we can really
That's a
take in
point.
the information that you're sharing with us to make sure that we're incorporating it in the budget development process.
And I throw this out for thought and discussion. When you look at the October meeting, new member budget training, we currently have 3 positions. I don't know if they'll even be filled by then.
And that meeting is really about just appointing once everyone's in to their positions, right?
Right, so the only really substance is talking about the emergency reserve fund sideboards. We could,
Can I motion to,
so
Can we
let's
use-
just think through this.
December?
What's that?
Can we use the December meeting as a sort of general introduction to fiscal year 2027 approach of the Budget Advisory Board?
Well, yeah, and I'm thinking too that looking at the items, we could almost cancel October and November and then push everything in December and January. That, and here's why, staff needs a break. I mean,
Yeah.
they've really worked hard on this budget. And historically, they've taken the last 3 months of the year from staff to kind of wrap the year in, everything up, the reports for fiscal year end and everything. Am I correct in that statement? Everything you got?
Yes, I mean, staff's willing to support you in all of the meetings, of course, you know, but understanding we don't know if we're gonna have the 3 members, I think is part of the point too.
There's a
You're
better
gonna
chance to have them in December than in November.
Right, so if you're looking to having new members appointed and having, you know, everybody kind of like warmed up and ready to go, that probably would be a better approach for that reason, but staff's willing to meet with you every month.
So then we could just cancel October and November, do December and just fill everything in December and January.
Makes sense to me.
Do we need a motion for this?
Yes. Is there a motion?
I'll
So
make a
make it-
motion, I'll make a motion.
Okay, to cancel November and
I
December.
just think about the 17th of December,
you know,
just
do you wanna move
because
it up
it's
a
like
week?
the week before, you know,
Yeah.
people
Well,
are,
that's true.
Okay.
it's the only thing I'm thinking.
I was
Should
gonna
we-
say the same thing, cause it's with kids getting off school, that'll be when they're off school, so
Right.
maybe we move it up
A
a
week?
week to like that week of, or December 10th.
Charmaine?
I'm looking at
Okay.
group of
Yeah, I was looking at, yeah, cause we can do that and then let you know if there's not otherwise, cause yeah. it's always contingent on having a place to meet
Yeah.
too and that.
Confirming that the room is available on December 10th.
Okay. Alright,
So do we, is that two motions or do we do it all together?
Do it all together.
Go ahead.
So
Is staff good with that, doing it all together in a motion? Okay.
So I'll make the motion that we cancel the October and November meetings and reschedule the December meeting to December 10th instead of December 17th. And then move one of those also into January.
And just push the work
Agenda
plan.
items, right, push the agenda items
Okay,
into December and January.
and to include your presentation.
Yes, and to include Olivier's presentation, would we move that to December or January?
I would rather have it in December so we can absorb,
So
we
it's-
can also interact again.
Right, as part of the revenue enhancement
And
opportunity.
that'd be good with the new members coming on
Yes.
board.
It's a great way to throw them in the water.
Okay.
Just don't scare them away.
It will be your role.
We have all that. Okay, and who seconded, Norby?
Yeah, second.
Okay, and just for discussion, then staff will have the latitude to rework those bullet points of October, November, and yours to maybe fit it in those December and January meetings, so they might, instead of just moving everything down a
Spread
month,
them out
they just,
in an even-
you have latitude to reshuffle however you feel appropriately, okay? We'll do a roll call vote on that.
Mr. Bills?
Yes.
Ms. Bowker?
Yes.
Mr. Kale?
Yes.
Mr. DeGirolamo?
He left the room.
Ms. Milroy?
Yes.
Mr. Pito?
Yes.
And Chair Brown.
Yes. Okay, so it passes and thank you for that support, and I'm sure staff's much appreciative of that as well. Is there anything else under new business?
I guess I just wanted to bring up, and thank you so much for, setting the calendar and getting us the dates. I think there's interest from some District 4 neighborhood leaders on coming to our meetings. And I think that this happens with, every advisory board that unless you advertise it, and send it out to your neighborhood, a lot of people, they don't know when the budget advisory board meets, even though it's on the city calendar. And so I guess one of the things that I want us to think about, one of the things I'm doing as a neighborhood president is that I haven't done a great job of so far is making sure that there's more advertising and awareness of when our meetings are and that there is an opportunity for public input. I just think it's something that we do need a little more focus on, because, I do think it's important to feel the public is informed, and if they decide not to come, that, at least they knew they had the opportunity. And so I guess I just wanted to bring up, anything that, staff can do to help us in that regard. I don't know that we need like a pretty Canva presentation, but for my neighborhood association, a lot of times, for example, I've just decided to start announcing, Chris, is head of the homeless advisory committee. That's a huge interest in our neighborhood association now, so I'm gonna be announcing to the neighborhood the week before, this is the committee, everyone is welcome to attend. I just think we need to have some more presence in the community, as far as our meeting schedule.
Absolutely, so we started 2 years ago working with Stratcom to kind of build out what it looked like to advertise for our meetings. And so this year they did something and it was a short video that was like, we're kicking off the budget development process and we want you to be part of it. It starts with these budget advisory board meetings that occur. And so they tried to publicize that. I think where we may have room for improvement is we did it on the city's social media, which, you know, reaches a large volume of people. But I don't think we pushed it out to you all, for you all to then, as leaders within the community, be able to, if you would like to, share that with your neighbors as well. And so I think that's one area that we can probably expand on, because Stratcom did a really good job of trying to make budget a little more fun with their video. But unless we push it out to the right people, it kind of hits the same people that everything else hits.
So I did that. I mean, it's interesting, right? All the board members, we have the same problem. And I was on a group that was very active in the city and very passionate about things, and there was a big budget item about things that were related to them. And everyone's like, all right, I'm like, please come to the budget advisory board. I posted, I sent it to them, and nobody showed up. Well, and so I think it's kind of that, like, we have to do that, and I think until there's like a, you know, we raise the millage rate, then all of a sudden our doors will be packaged, you know, everyone's gonna be coming in the door. It's like people don't get involved until like there's a problem.
So to share my experience as a community leader for 5 years in our small commercial civic association, I want to be positive and realistic as well for you as a benchmark, but I think you're right in the fact that we should be a relay, not only because of our position as a community leader, but Budget Advisory Board, to invite people, our residents, to participate, even to attend, to come, to sign up for even speaking if they want to say something. And I think we should do a better job, all of us around the table. However, what I've noticed is with all the efforts we made for 5 years, we got some success with some members, and lots of people were solicited and interested and then didn't show up. So you have to be realistic in terms of the expectation. That doesn't mean we can't try to do better.
I also think too, since we're appointed from different districts or whomever we're appointed from, I think part of our role is to be that advocate for our communities, you know, so that's why there's different districts on the board representing the communities, and the fact that we're involved, maybe the people cannot be here all the time, but we can hear what they're saying, and that's important to bring that forward as well. So I think it's kind of that dual role, you know. We can ask them to come, but we can also represent, because we hear the things at our meetings about things related to budget, so it's our role to bring that forward too.
And there may even be an aspect of that where just, you know, maybe it's not every commissioner's pre-agenda, but at least once a month. You know, if you're able to attend your commissioner's pre-agenda meeting, just say, hey, budget corner, just a reminder, if you're able to attend, I'm on the budget advisory board, our meeting is this date.
That's a great idea.
Our agendas are posted ahead of time, and do you have any comments or questions for me as your District 4 appointed representative? And then the other thing I was thinking about for my neighborhood, which I sometimes do, is I don't know if we're live on YouTube right now.
Because we're in conflict with the planning and zoning.
Oh, so planning and zoning gets to go live and we're not live. Okay, well, it's just about sharing what the YouTube link, you know, so they can watch it.
Yeah, that's
So they won't be live, but we can always share. And I know you guys have all of the YouTube links shared in a document on our website, you know, as well as our agenda and minutes, but I just think that if there's a way the city of Fort Lauderdale YouTube could also, if it could be easier to find the meeting you're looking for. I know that's not your guys' department.
Oh no, it's really good feedback, and we'll definitely, I've looked for specific meetings before, and it's like you have to kind of know what you're looking for to find it, so it's good feedback.
I think the website has been redesigned again. thing. But when you do the search with keywords, it gets better. I don't know if there's an improvement that's been done there, but you get more relevant links. It's like a more intelligent Google inside the website. It's not there yet, it's not the AI.
And the budget advisory board videos are not easy to find because that's on a document. It's like a PDF document. You have to click on that link and then it opens up to an actual PDF.
If you go to YouTube
Yeah.
TV and just type in City of Fort Lauderdale, it pops up all the meetings.
Okay.
And the point I wanna make out, and I mentioned at the commission meeting, we have very low public input, no one comes. And then when you look at the viewers, a month, 2 months, 3 months later, the viewership of those the tapes are very small. I mean, I think the
minuscule.
most, I think the most I ever saw, I think was
And a lot of that is budget team members that
Or
are
us.
doing that to make sure we have our notes
What did you
right.
say?
so,
Or our families wondering when we're coming home.
and I hear you,
Yeah.
I like public participation.
It's not
Yeah,
exciting,
but they don't,
it's not
and then
exciting.
they
Yeah,
stand
no, I
up, they
understand.
stand up at the commission meeting and say, well, we're not transparent. Well, how transparent more can we be,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, no, I understand, it is funny how much they'll complain, certain people are very vocal, obviously in District 4, but yet won't then get down to the basics, you know, which is the budget.
It's human nature, I'm
Yeah.
afraid.
I'm on the committee for Flagler, we have our monthly meeting after this, and my building WhatsApp text is just complaints about all the things all the time, all the neighborhood complaints, well, come to a meeting.
Yeah.
You can literally talk to your commissioner tonight.
Have you
at the
seen
meeting.
anybody?
None of them will go.
Yeah.
Okay,
I do like the idea though, of bringing it up at your pre-agenda meetings, cause we do have that opportunity. And also at the council, maybe we put a little reminder on the council meeting with, that hey, that here's the upcoming budget meetings, just for the city leaders to know that that's coming up.
okay.
Fort Lauderdale Council.
One item under new business, I apologize staff for not, I just now thought of this when I saw Ben come into the room. To give a quick update and a question, and that pertains to the city hall and the process. And right now, they had 6 proposals come back for the new city hall. They're reviewing them on their qualifications of the 6 individuals, and if I would, qualifications, their expertise on building, government buildings. There was 4 or 5 points, like the finance or
So it will be at the next commission meeting, at the conference meeting, we'll be bringing forth, the proposals are online, so if you'd like to review them, if you go to the city manager's site and click the memos link, all of the proposals are online. I know some people have favorites on design or different items, but really the next meeting will be an opportunity, the first opportunity that the commission has to really publicly discuss the proposals that were received.
and then they're going to shortlist those 6 into 3, perhaps, maybe 4. And then they'll redefine more of the scope of how many floors there are, how much office space, more design features, and come back and put price tags on. With that, my question is is there or will there be any involvement or any ask anticipated for input to the commission from this board?
So they hadn't shared that they wanted your input, but if the BAB would like to weigh in on anything really, you're always welcome to. If you'd like to put that on the work plan, we maybe can talk about the appropriate place for that when we meet in December, understanding what happened in that meeting. I don't know what will come out of the October meeting, but if you all wanna have a conversation about any piece of that, we can ask staff to present.
I'm not looking for more work,
Okay,
but
well.
I'm just thinking for input, especially on the finance piece. We might want to give some input to the commission on how
Put
it's
that on
gonna
the
be
bottom of your work plan so that we can remember to maybe talk to, you know, how we have other items and then
Yeah.
we'll talk about if we wanna plan it.
I mean, cause at one point we did attend one of the workshops.
Reimagine.
Had-
City
Reimagine,
Hall.
yeah,
Right,
and they did the finance,
So-
they did a whole, one of them, cause there was 5 of those, and one of them was on the financing.
yeah, I think.
But have they really haven't finalize what the funding piece of it, am I?
That's correct.
Yeah.
And so I think the idea is once the commission has shortlisted, that's when staff will really start doing deep dive more into what we need to be in the building, the size of the building, and that helps to drive the cost of the building.
So not too early, but so if
Right
it's
now,
too early, it's not spec.
Yeah, and not to rubber stamp your recommendations, but to give you a little more support on what those recommendations will be moving forward to the commission, if that would help.
So they're just taking, I saw there were some design pitches, right?
So they submitted.
They're not gonna be bidded out.
Yeah, they're not, it's not fully priced out proposals,
No, they
it's
wouldn't be.
just general.
Only one of the six came in with the price I was told, so.
Which probably won't hold any.
Yeah. And then the other P3 that's out there is the Holiday Park parking garage.
Mhm.
And the surface lot, I hope I'm not speaking too soon, but that piece is coming out of funding of the transportation mobility funds? Or is that gonna be part of the finance piece?
For Holiday Park Garage, where they
Not the
considering
garage,
part-
but the surface lot.
Not the garage, it's the surface. Yeah, it's its own project, I think it's actually coming out of the bond funds, the
Coming
parks
out,
bond.
and that, will that be a special bond as well?
No, it's part of the parks bond. There was a portion of it that included some of the parking related enhancements.
Okay.
And I
Stormwater,
think
yes.
there's a special project that's already put funding aside specific to the surface lot.
Okay. And the reason I bring this.
I'll confirm and
The reason I bring it up is the more we're educated and have visibility on, then when we're approached or asked questions, or we can dispel rumors of the general public, we know what's going on and we can set the record straight.
And that falls right into the perspective we were discussing earlier about the approach to fiscal year 2027.
And just one correction on the City Hall proposals, they're actually on the Reimagining City Hall site, under the large projects, you can see the actual proposals, so if you're trying to go in, that may be an easier way to get to it.
Good.
I have another, you're about to wrap up? I have one
And
more
then-
thing I can
And
share.
the police, I think they're looking at March maybe for the police headquarters. Chris, you,
Yeah,
not put you on the spot.
Yeah, I don't know the exact month and I'd hate to say the wrong thing. It'll definitely be after the first of the year.
Somewhere between December and March.
Okay. Thank you, Susan. I
Got a quarter.
I forgot you were even down there.
I have something on this.
We're still hopeful about
Yeah.
December, but
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, we're looking at the demolition and the timeline with that. There's still some questions about, what needs to be done with that, so. I think that's,
I drove by after leaving the 9/11 memorial service and the building does look nice and the attached the garage and everything, so they've come a long ways.
yeah, landscaping's going in, a lot of the exterior work, so.
And staff and from a resident and a community leader, staff I think is doing an excellent job along with the engineers and keeping the commission informed on some of the deficiencies and everything, and I think they're coming with good ideas and approaches and irregardless of what some other people of the community are saying, so thank you for all your hard work on that. Okay, you had something?
Yeah, I'm on the Affordable Housing Committee as well, and somebody from Sistrunk should be in touch with somebody from our board, I don't know if it's happened yet, but they were trying to come in, and I don't know the complete scope yet, and have like 20 minutes to just ask the board about various things, which I told them is really tough during the year, the only time it could maybe happen would be around now. I didn't promise anything, but I just said, let's open the lines of communication. I don't know if someone can make a note or who's supposed to be in touch with who, I don't wanna be communicating when I'm not in these meetings, so I'm not coordinating at all, cause
If you
Have them
email
kind of
me the
reach out to them.
person, we don't typically have people come in and ask the board questions, but if
I don't-
we could facilitate
I
a
s-
process to like have.
I sort of
some
said, I don't know that it's, yeah, it would have to really make a lot of sense, that's how I was putting it, I didn't wanna be like, oh, you can't talk to the budget board, but I just said, communicate and see if it does.
Had a comment at an AHAC meeting or was it after the, kind of on the side? Cause
No, at the AHAC meeting, several times, it's been on the agenda point to talk about, to try and get that meeting booked. And I sort of just said, you know, cause when it first got brought up, it was 3 or 4 months ago, and I don't know if they tried before they said, but I said I'm on the board.
HCD and pull that information then, if it's on the agenda, I'll get that from the.
Yeah, I don't know what they're what the,
Okay.
you know, I've sort of said, basically, I think they wanted to come in and do some sort of a presentation.
Okay.
And I said, I don't know, this has to make sense.
Well, as chair, I would recommend that if we're approached, just have them vet that with Laura. Laura, are you okay?
yeah.
If we're approached like that,
Maybe
just have
Angela Walsh?
have everything vetted through you.
Yeah,
and then
we're
you-
happy to talk to them and try to
Yeah,
And
maybe
then we
ask
can bring
Angela
back
Walsh
the
to
Because you're
coordinate.
the yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that I was, doing my part, bringing that up.
Just one minor point, and this might just be kind of one of my nerdy interests, but and I don't wanna create any kind of dissension among the districts, but I was curious when we talk about the property tax contributions, you know, the revenue generated. Is it possible, do you guys have that already perhaps drilled down by district or
we
even
can get it.
by neighborhood? I'm just curious and understanding a little bit more granular level.
We have it by property. We get it by property.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's something that the whole board is, it's just of interest,
So for ad valorem, she's just saying that, so when we get the tax roll, we get property
Yeah.
by property, what the.
What's your thought?
So I guess personally, I just find it interesting to when, for example, District 4, you know, when I'm talking to neighbors, and I think something that would make them more interested is if they understood, yeah, we are a big source of revenue for the city. And look, I mean, it's not to like, you know, who's bigger, who's smaller, but if you do want to engage with people and make it seem more real to them, and also to, I will say, kind of deflect some of the negative comments that say high density area like downtown gets quite a bit from the general populace. I think it's interesting to show what we do bring to the table. And that is also, I think, a way that it makes it more personal and it kind of makes people a little more interested. So that's just my but it doesn't have to be, if the board's not interested, it just is something that
No, it's interesting.
I've been thinking about, and I brought it up to the Downtown Development Authority, they were kind of interested as well.
Now you have to be aware of the risk on the revenue side, because some districts will generate more revenue than the others.
Yeah.
So that's the other side of the equation, so
Yes.
let's be careful not to, to frame this, because we can get into a war of district for revenue and
not to divide the districts.
I don't really wanna
That's-
divide it.
No, but
Yeah.
I was trying to understand where you came from.
But it kind
I
of
understand.
personalizes it, and
Of
I think,
course.
just like in Broward County, there's certain cities that contribute far more to the bottom line than others. But yet, we all play ball, so I just think it would widen our understanding.
Okay, so I'm not sure how much time it would take, so we do get a
I don't want you to take a huge amount of time.
We get a tax roll from the property appraiser and then we have GIS, so we can partner with staff, I think it's probably pretty doable.
It is,
And
Okay.
so.
It's never been done before.
At one point we did growth, like we looked at growth by area, so yeah, there's definitely mapping already that exists, so.
Yeah.
I just don't wanna set a time frame, but we can send you want me to send a report out then to this group? Once we have that? 'Cause it'll be December
if you
till we
wouldn't
meet
mind.
again,
Or I mean,
so-
and I don't even know if the county's already obviously they maybe have their
Yeah.
own.
We can, I have that on my list of thoughts,
So,
so I'll try to get that to you.
No, thank you,
between
but
now
I
and
don't,
next
but please
meeting.
don't spend a huge amount of time. But I think it's something that can make things more relatable.
Any closing, go around the room
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Halloween.
Compliment budget and finance and staff, but the auditor's office too. They
Yeah.
work closely with budget and finance are kind of the watchdog too. I don't know if read or saw the report based on on this year's budget, some points that they pointed out of, they're not how do you label the term, not concerns or
There's areas of concern.
areas of concern? You know, one was
Yes.
overtime, the way tracking overtime on the police side, and
Yes.
those are all good things, so thank you for the hard work that your staff does.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
But it helps us and helps all the agents at different departments.
Yeah, it kind of just summarizes some of the key concerns that we see on an annual basis when we're looking through the budget. And perhaps you could look at the last 2 or 3, for example. I think you'll see something that reoccurs year
Yes.
after year in which unfortunately maybe is not discussed enough, and how to resolve
Or addressed.
the problem or address it, right? So, you know, again, it's a very short summary based on the time frame we have and you know, working with budget, you know, they're busy, et cetera, so. Yeah,
Could staff, could you send those out to us, the last 2 reports?
Yeah, the audit memos.
yeah, they're all online as well,
Yeah.
under our office, if you,
So that we can take a look at them during the next couple months.
Yeah.
And then maybe it might, as we're doing our brainstorming in November, December, January, there might be some things we want to discuss. Good. Well, I have nothing further. I wanna thank everyone. Again, thank you for your service. You know,
I wanna thank you, Bill, for being a fantastic chair. Thanks for bringing all your institutional knowledge and
And he's gonna kick us better with his new
Yeah.
knee in a month.
So when we come back in December, we have to elect a new chair, vice chair, and a new revenue, what is the title of that position?
Revenue Estimating Conference Committee Representative, I mean,
What Ross did last year, right?
yes.
And that entails 2 additional meetings, so,
But you're eligible to be chair again.
yes.
Oh, okay, good.
If I'm willing,
Okay, you be, okay.
thank you again for your 6 years of service
You have to eat them all.
oh wow, they're very good.
I did my part.
It's not finished.
And thanks to the whole VAB, this was a great year, another good year, great input, great discussions. I think this was the best discussions we've had in a long time, in terms of collaboration, you all work together well and, yeah, we really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, this past year, having sat on the board, I think 3 years, and I'm not bragging, but I think what you said is absolutely correct. The attitude and the feel to be able to openly discuss issues, concerns amongst us without feeling like we're stepping on toes or getting out of our bounds has been good. And that makes for productive meetings. I know sometimes we ran over 2 hours, but we've had good, honest discussions, so. Okay, well, enjoy Halloween.
Thanksgiving.
I will be nursing the new knee, so I don't think I won't be out trick or treating.
Is it a full replacement?
Full replacement
Oh my God.
My dad just did both.
at the same time.
They didn't, cause one was worse, he only did one and 3 months, 3 or 4 months.
Goodness, that's tough.
Jared, you wanna
I have to do the other one sometime, but
Adjourn?
so motion to adjourn,
You're doing both at the same time?
no.
Thank you. Bye.
Good luck with that.
Thank you.
It's midnight tomorrow night.
I need to get on my.
I know it's the other side.
I know, I was laughing, Sharon, all over Christmas. I ended up missing something.
I get it.
During this meeting.
You can't cut on
I didn't know what, I could watch it.
And then,
Right,
you got it.
you know, like,